All right, we are live here on the Nightmare Press podcast. We are here with Valentina Marie. She is a psychic medium, actress, model, artist, a whole lot of other things.
It goes on and on.
She's done a whole lot, and she's here with us today. We were actually going to do this a while back, but there were some complications, and I guess we won't talk about that.
Yeah, well,
It's
nature.
probably traumatic enough. I'm sure you don't want to talk about it. Hurricanes aren't fun.
No.
So let's just go ahead and talk about your mediumship, your psychic abilities, and just your intuition. How did you come to discover that about yourself and get involved with that?
Okay, so basically, it wasn't really anything I sought out. People always ask me, hey, are you from a long stream of mediums and psychics? I'm the only one. I never sought it out. This was something that happened, unfortunately, due to a traumatic brain injury from a fall. So after that, it sort of jumbled up everything in my brain. And then from that point forward, I realized just all sorts of things. I was hypersensitive to a lot of things. And so that's really where it started. But I wasn't, and that was over 30 years ago, but I wasn't really ready for the gift. It was just too much. And I was living my regular life. So it took a while for me to actually accept it. It wasn't like right away I was, oh yay, I've got gifts. It's intense when you get them and you discover them, and so I wasn't really quite ready, so I just pushed them away.
Yeah, so you hear that a lot about people who end up with some kind of traumatic accident or near-death experience, and they end up having those gifts. Do you think that sort of thing tends to open up maybe something in someone's mind that's always been there, but it's just got to be, explored or
Yeah, I mean, it definitely felt like something that needed to be, or not needed to, but was woken up. I mean, we all have the gift, but if everyone's running around psychic, then nobody's really getting anything done. So I think it opens up for certain people. However, the universe chooses to open it up, whether it's a near-death car accident, whatever. In my case, a brain injury, that opens it up, and then it's like, okay, here it is presented to you. What do you want to do with it? And for me, it was like, oh heck no, you could just go away. This is intense. But I mean, it took me almost 20 years to finally say, okay, and it took the passing of both of my parents within 14 days of each other to make me go, okay, now I'm ready to learn about life after death, because I just lost, two precious people to me, the most precious, my mother. So then it was like, okay, I'm ready now. I will listen, I will listen to the instructions. Teach me. I am the student now. So yeah, it's been quite a journey for sure.
Yeah, sometimes people just need I guess, something to really get them in that direction. It's kind of one of those things you have to be ready to accept, I would think. Now, of course, a lot of people have different perceptions and misconceptions of what being psychic means. And whenever I speak to a psychic person, I always like to tell them, how would you explain what does psychic, having that ability, mean to you, if someone were to ask you?
And that's a good question. I always also like to point out, I'm also a medium. And I like to differentiate that not all psychics are mediums. However, all mediums are psychic. Mm-hmm. So mediums connect with loved ones on the other side that have passed, and psychics read the living energy. So for me, I think I'm just, what I call it is just having this gift of being more sensitive to my surroundings, animals, plants, people. And in that case, reading and using my gifts to help people.
Right, because I know a lot of skeptics like to say, oh, if you're psychic, tell me what the lottery is going to be.
But I know, that's the oldest question in the book. Believe me, I would blast that on TikTok. If I would want everyone, if I could do that, obviously I would want everyone to have, to be wealthy and well off. And, I read in a psychic book once that those are kind of things that the universe won't give you the answers to.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's kind of weird, because I won't lie, I do like to gamble. sinner. No. And whenever I do that, I'm really good at the horse races. I'm good at the card tables. And I always sit with my crystals and I'm like, okay, help me out. Should I hold? Should I double down? And they do help me out. I have no idea the rules of the game or anything, but I just ask for guidance. I'm like, I'm not here to like be filthy rich, but can you just help me out with some luck? And surprisingly, I do get quite a bit of luck gambling. So I don't think it's sinful or against the universe. Like if I was addicted to gambling, I think that would be something different, then they'd be like, hold off here, slow down. But every 4 or 5 years when I get to Vegas, or lottery tickets, I don't think there's a problem with it, honestly. I think the universe wants us to have fun, and that's part of having fun.
Well, especially something like lottery tickets. You don't really hear about someone sinking their entire fortune or losing their home because of a lottery ticket addiction,
Right. I don't know. I mean, there's addictions for everything. But yeah, I mean, every now and then I do play it. I'm like, come on, guys, help me out. The one time I did get the answers, I was just at a stoplight and I looked up and it said like Florida lottery, 40 million. I was like, oh, and the light is red. And I was like, just give me the numbers. I'm going to write them down right now. They gave me 6 numbers. I didn't think any more about it. 2 days later, I thought, let me check those numbers. I got 3 of the 6 numbers right from just asking the universe. And I was like, and I didn't put anything down. Even if I just went a little bit, it would have been fun. But, I'm not going to take that chance. I don't trust it enough that it's like, yeah, you got me the exact numbers and number 7. So I just, the 7th number there. So it's something to play with, but like, I don't take it seriously. And I said, I've even had clients come and ask me, about stock market. And it's like, another thing I don't want to help with because I don't want to be liable if God forbid I'm wrong about that,
Yeah, that would be a pretty hefty responsibility.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I think psychic is a lot about interpretation. Like you said, you read the life energy, the living energies. Yeah. And I think it's important that a lot of people understand that because most psychics aren't out there saying they can predict your future and tell you everything. And people like to say, well, you're a fraud if you can't do that. And that's not what people are.
The universe doesn't want you to know everything. It can be given to you, but you have to have some surprises in life, and it's one thing. I mean, I come across skeptics, but then skeptics is one category. Then you get these people that are like, sometimes I'll post something on Facebook and ask a question or whatever, TikTok, whatever, all these media. And somebody's like, well, you're a psychic. You should have known that.
Yeah.
What kind of thing is that to say? So I should say, well, you're a doctor. You should have cured that. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not always on, and I do like to take a break, and so no, I don't know everything, and sometimes I get things wrong, and I will tell people that could be because I flat out got it wrong, or maybe I interpreted it wrong, because again, it's interpretation. It's like playing charades with the universe, and sometimes I misunderstand something they're telling me, and that doesn't mean I'm wrong. I just wasn't, fully getting the idea of what they were trying to convey,
Right. All experts in every field get things wrong sometimes. Scientists, doctors, like you said,
Yes, exactly. And we need to be forgiven. I think it's the thing people think psychics hold the key to the future. We do our part, but I mean, we can't, people ask me about the elections and, silly stuff. And it's like, just let that play out. I don't really care, Yeah. And so it's just I think people need to be forgiving and understand we're not miracle workers. We're going to make mistakes. No, I mean, I'd be more weary of a psychic or medium that was 100% accurate. That would be a little scary. Somebody's being fed information into an earpiece because you should not. I mean, you're going to get some things wrong. That's just natural. That's normal. We're still human at the end of the day. Right. People forget that. We're not superhuman. Well, maybe for a minute, but then we get back. Then I'm back to just being average Clark Kent.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I wonder, does the universe itself even have all the answers? What is the the depth of the universe is still pretty much unknown. So I mean, who knows how much energy they know crossing each other, moving. They never know. Messages could get mixed up.
Yeah, maybe the universe is constantly growing and expanding, so maybe it's teaching itself something. Maybe the universe is learning from the universe.
An ever learning experience. Stuff that we cannot understand, and we probably never should. We probably don't want to understand all that.
No, we should not. I mean, I don't. My philosophy is the minute I know everything, I should probably just lay down and die for good.
Yeah,
I
what fun would that be?
Right? I want to always be growing and learning. I love learning new things. I love when I'm dumbfounded, not dumbfounded, but like, oh, whoa, I didn't know that. That's a wonderful moment because that means there's more room to absorb things.
Yeah, well, obviously you like learning because you've done so many different things.
Oh my
God. Tell us
It's
what.
embarrassing.
Yeah, where did? I mean, I think it's pretty impressive. I'm impressed by how much you've done. So, like, I don't know where to even begin with that. What was your first, you know, outlet into entertainment? Was it acting? Is that what you did first, or was it modeling?
Modeling started first back in my home country of Denmark, and I was only 1.5. I had to look at the cover and look at the year, and I was like, whoa, 1967. That means I was like 1 year old. I was like, oh my God. Obviously my mother drove me there, but that was the beginning of it. And then obviously I took a break for a while, and then I picked it up again probably at age 14 when I lived in Alaska. There wasn't much modeling to do. So I would enter different contests like Teen Magazine, things like that. And then when I moved to LA, then I started definitely back up again because now you're in the mecca of where you need to be to make things happen. And then I did that for probably a good, I don't know, 40 years, which is really long for a model. And somewhere in between that, I got on a TV show. Well, I think it was Arsenio Hall. I don't even. I've done so much. I don't even remember what the first TV show was. But I got on Arsenio Hall. That was my first speaking line, and Arsenio picked me out. And then he was like, he called me back for another skit with him, and another. And it was like Arsenio just loved me, and he was just so sweet. And respectable. That's the one thing. Everybody pretty much, well, there was a couple, but most people were very respectful in Hollywood, as long as they know what you're about. They don't, luckily I never got roped in any of that child stuff there. And,
Yeah.
The dangers of that and the casting couch. And I mean, I did lose a few jobs because I didn't sleep with people. And that was my choice because I wanted to get a job because you liked me, not because I slept with someone, So my whole thing was I wanted to have credibility and I wanted to have my dignity. And so every job I got was because people just liked me on camera or whatever. So I was really adamant about that because I knew so many people that sold out just to get on TV. And that was never my thing.
Some people just really want that fame, and that's what matters to them.
Yeah, I mean, the casting couch is real. It works across the board, men and women do whatever to get that. But I think if you just hang on to your integrity and your morals, you can get a job the right way without having to do that. And I've proven that because, I mean, I did lose several jobs because I didn't, but the jobs I did get, which was so plentiful, I realized you don't have to do that to get a job.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that want to take those shortcuts, and I think it's commendable when they don't. So I think that's really cool you didn't.
Thank you.
I noticed like a lot of models or a lot of actresses and actors too, but mostly with actresses that start out modeling. Like my wife has her cousin is into modeling, and the younger people who want to get into that, younger ladies who want to go from that to like acting and stuff. What kind of
advice
would you give to them?
Well, one, don't be too hungry. Like I said, and hungry defines doing things out of your comfort zone. Never let anyone talk you into anything that you're not comfortable doing. Again, when you go to an agency, you should just bring photos. They may talk you into trying to use the photographer, and you might be able to find your own. Never pay anything to be with an agency. That is the biggest thing. If they want to charge you to sign up, run out the door immediately. Yes, they take a cut, 15 to 20% when you get a job, and then they
Right.
give you a check minus their cut. That is fair because they have to put the work in and send out lots of stuff on your behalf.
Then they're motivated.
Exactly. That's it. It's a business, and they get you work, you pay them, everybody's happy. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. If there's any agency that wants money up front, John Robert Powers, Barbizon, all that modeling school stuff is just not real. Then you just bring some average. You don't have to have fancy photos when you go there. Just a nice simple headshot, not any makeup, very clean face, no jewelry, just a nice clean shot, maybe one with a t-shirt and jeans, and then maybe something form-fitting like a nice dress or a workout outfit. And that's really it. That's all you need to bring. You can have your friends shoot them, because from there they'll decide if you're worth signing up with. And then from there, they will help you either put some portfolio together, recommend some photographers, et cetera, et cetera. So you don't have to go spend thousands and thousands to get started, because most agencies won't take you until they see the picture. And then from there, they will see the potential, So don't be looking like this here. This is, they want to see, they think a Dove commercial or something, they want that clean face so they can see underneath that. And then from there, you can always glam up anytime, but yeah, and that's about it really. And then get started. If you're tall, you can go on to be tall and skinny. You can be fashion, even though fashion now has changed in some of the runway, you can be different sizes, and they're having handy capable people, and it's opening up to all, there's no judgment. But still the norm is fairly tall, 5'9" and above. I was 5'8", so I was right underneath. So my specialty was like bathing suits, catalog, commercial. So you also have to find, what your niche is depending on your height. That's really going to determine which route you take. And if you have that type of a look that's high fashion, or like me, it was kind of, commercial look and everyday kind of fun girl.
So I found it interesting. You were talking about how they would prefer that, you don't have all the makeup and look kind of just normal. I guess I would think that's so they could know what they're working with, right?
Exactly.
And they're experts in glamming people up, so they can look at someone and say, this, I can do this, this, and this with them. Whereas if they're already made up, all they're seeing is just like that one face that someone else made for them.
Exactly. You become, and I kind of liken it to, you become a canvas. And
Right.
I call myself a hanger, because I realize people just hang whatever clothes they want. And for that day, I have to, I might hate the outfit, but I have to wear it. I have to work it and pretend like I love that outfit. I mean, there was many times I hated my makeup that they did. But at the end of the day, they have hired you. You are their, hanger, and you have to look and dress and do whatever they want, at least for the next 8 hours. Then you can wipe all that down and take all that off. But it is make believe. You're getting paid to make believe, and you just have to suck it up. and this has been like, and they always shoot opposite seasons. So in summer, they're shooting winter stuff. So you're standing in 80 degrees with a winter coat on. And then in the winter, you're shooting bikini stuff, and you're at the beach just shivering, and you can't show any of that. You have to just be like, oh, it is so hot out. So you really have to, I mean, it's a little abusive, I won't lie, but you have to like suck it up.
Yeah. You got the pay and the dues to get where you want to go. And
I'm telling you, it's painful.
Yeah. So you're an artist as well, I saw on there.
Yes, I started painting, oh gosh, I think it was 2004. And the way it started, again, everything by me has been kind of accidental. A girlfriend of mine had this painting, and every time people came over, she would just have them paint a little something on it. So the painting was cumulative of everybody's little piece in there. So she goes, you can't leave without painting something. And I looked at that and I go, oh, painting is so stupid. I don't want to do that. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to do a little bit. And then I thought, God, that really felt good. Like it just, I was expressing. So I ran out and bought a canvas and some paint. And I painted something. And a friend came over and goes, how much you want for that painting? I go, it's not for sale, but okay. You want $100? Like I'll sell it to you for 100. I mean, it was pretty big. They're like, okay, here's $100. So I was like, all right, I guess I have to paint another painting because now that one is gone. So I painted it. How much you want for that painting? Well, 100. Okay. Every time I painted something, I had no sooner hung it on the wall when a friend would come over and buy the painting off the wall. So over 450 paintings later that I've sold, I was like, holy cow. I said, will you stop buying my paintings because I have one on the wall. I just wanted to enjoy it and look at my work. But so it became like crazy how much people love my paintings. I mean, I ship them all over the world to Spain, Bali. And I used to have a website and people just buy them right off the thing. I think my thing was because I just loved doing it so much. I didn't charge very much for these paintings. Like the $100 painting could have probably been about 500, but I felt bad charging that. So I just said, no, just 100. Just give me some for my time, you know, a little bit of the supply and the canvas. I was, you know, people always talk like, oh my God, he's so cheap. I go, well, I'm just honored that people want to hang it up in their house. So that's all the thing, you know, that's what I need. That's the payment right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Someone wants appreciates your efforts and your abilities that they want to actually have it for themselves. So that is a
Yeah.
pretty good payoff.
Yeah.
So tell us about some of the shows and films you've been in and some of the interesting, I guess don't give away too much because we'll talk about your book a little bit later, obviously. But
Sorry. I have no ghosts. It's just my dog is back in the room and I don't know what she's chewing up. So
well, yeah, you can never tell.
yeah, so I worked a lot on most of my heyday was like in the 90s because there were all these shows on, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, in Living Color, Martin Lawrence show, the Martin show, Jamie Foxx, I was on that. So, I mean, I also did other shows like Seinfeld, Cheers, Night Court, a lot of movies, Batman and Robin with Mr. Freeze. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger. Funny story. Arnold was that Mr. Freeze outfit. I don't know how many, I wouldn't say tons, but he had to be put inside that and like screwed in or something. So he couldn't move. So Arnold would be standing right where I was positioned. And I would stand and talk to Arnold. He's like, oh, there's a, you know, in his voice there. I can't do it now, but he's just locked into this cool Mr. Freeze outfit. And it was just like almost like those Transformer, you know, those big robots. It was like that. So I would talk to him. And then the next day I brought like it was a People's Magazine Sexiest Men of whatever year. And there was one with Arnold in it. So I was like, oh, I got to bring this to set and have Arnold sign it. So I was like, Mr. Schwarzenegger, he was going to his trailer. And I was like, he had a cigar with him. And I was like, oh, can you please sign this? And he's like, yeah. And, you know, he's just about my height. He's not that tall. That's the other thing. So many people are not so tall when you meet them in person. Yeah. They're tiny. So that was a fun time, but we were on that for 2 weeks and they were keeping everything such a surprise that every time Batman walked out with his, you know, Batman outfit on, he was covered in a blanket. So nobody would try to sneak pictures and leak out, you know, the Batman outfit because they didn't want to show it to anyone. And we had to turn in all our cell phones before we filmed. I mean, it was like high security. It's crazy. But
yeah, cell phones weren't even that big a deal back then. They weren't.
I had one. It was one of those big ones that they had in the army. Those big
the bricks.
And oh my God. And people saw me with it and they're like, oh, can I borrow your phone? Can I borrow your phone? You have a phone? You have a phone? And I'm like, Okay, I'm gonna hide this now because you can't put in. You're so big when you're on the phone.
Yeah, yeah. Now they're like this big, and they're back then they were like
I was
this.
like, hello, hello. Yeah. So, but I mean, every I loved doing the movie industry and the TV industry because every day was a different job. I mean, it was 11 to 16-hour days. I mean, sometimes it was like, oh my gosh, please no more. The sun is coming up and we are still working. I love that every day was different. And, it was just the makeup, the lights, the stars. It was just, I really got to see behind the scenes and appreciate what goes into making a movie. There's like 200 people on set, but all you're seeing is like one guy and one girl interacting. But oh my God, the amount of people and the smoke and the lighting, and it's really something. I think that's the biggest thing I love about Hollywood is just all these people come together to make this finished product that is just like, wow, it took all these people to do this.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Like, I've always followed like different filmmakers. I have a thing about filmmakers and their body of work, and I can't imagine what it would take to be a filmmaker, to be like a successfully big time filmmaker who's got to deal with all these hundreds of people, to be someone like Martin Scorsese or Steven Spielberg. How do they not lose their minds what they have to deal with on a daily? They're in charge of the whole thing.
Everything. I mean, from concept to reality, and I mean, I've been to movie premieres, where the celebrities all see the movie before it goes public. And that is truly like, it is the weirdest way to watch a movie because every time a name flashes on the screen, everybody breaks out clapping because that's your coworker.
Yeah.
That would never happen in a real movie. We're always like, who the heck are all these names? We just
6 million names.
right. And so we're just clapping, and the celebrities are there, and everybody's just so proud of each other. It's really very communal, and I just love. I mean, premieres are awesome. Not just, I mean, the celebrity part is fun, but just I love just the way the audience feels. There's just so much love for everybody, and this is the first time they've seen it, and they're reacting to all the little pieces of everyone's parts put together. It's really remarkable.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Who's some of the nicest people you ever met in Hollywood that people would know about, possibly want to hear about?
Um. Well, I will say one that maybe was, unfortunately, he's now deceased, but I worked on a show called Drexel's Class. I don't know how long it went on. It was a comedy with
I
Dabney.
remember that show.
I know I'm dating myself here. Dabney.
Dabney Coleman, right?
The two girls are deceased as well. That's a weird show. How many people? Yeah, the main girl, now I forgot her name, and the other one. Yeah, but it was a scene with Digital Underground. Actually, somebody's deceased from there too. Oh my gosh, two more from that group.
Yeah, Tupac and Shock G. They're both.
Jeez. Shock G's from over here in Tampa.
Isn't he? Is he passed away? I thought Shock G had passed away.
Yeah, both of them. Shock G passed probably
So.
4 years. I mean, there was a big thing in Tampa because I guess he was from Tampa.
Yeah, I thought I remember hearing about him passing away.
Yeah. So I had a scene where I was at the end, the Digital Underground plays, and then at the end, the girls of the band come up, and I go up with the white dude of the group there. I forgot his name, the scratcher or the DJ.
Nobody knows who he is.
I know, he was like the nobody. But so I was in my trailer, and all of a sudden I get a knock on the door, and it's Tupac, and I'm like, oh my God! Like, he wasn't that big yet. He wasn't, he wasn't Tupac by himself. He was Tupac.
He was a dancer with them, wasn't he? Was he only a dancer, or did he actually?
I don't even remember.
I don't think he rapped for them.
I don't know what his role was, but it wasn't very big. So he comes into my trailer, and I'm like, oh my God, here's a rapper. He's in my trailer. I don't know what's going to happen now. And he sat down, and I was like, Tupac, you've got a nose piercing, a little crown. I said, I have a crown on my ankle. So we started talking, and he was so polite and so nice. And I go, but I said, your stomach says thug life. You're supposed to be like this rough and tough. He was so soft spoken. And I remember he had the longest eyelashes. They were just like so long and curly. And I remember going, he's got such long eyelashes. But I know the weird things I think of. But he was so polite. And then he goes, well, I have to get back to the set. And I said, nice talking to you, Mr. Tupac. And that was that. And then he went on to become huge. And then the next thing he was
Like the biggest rapper of all time.
I know. And then he was shot. And I remember when I heard the news, I was just like, oh my God. He sat in my trailer and we talked, and like it just hit me. Same thing with Easy E. I did a video, a rap video, and Easy.
I love Easy E. What was he like?
So there was a video called High C. Hi, HI hyphen C. It was a rap video back in the 90s. And Easy E, maybe it was his band or he's producing it, but he made an appearance and I got his phone number. And I was, believe it or not, living in Beverly Hills, but I was totally broke. Go figure. And it's an oxymoron, broke in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
And Easy comes by my house. He rolls up in his white Mercedes. And he goes to my fridge. I guess he was thirsty. And the fridge was empty except for like a lemon. And he's like, where's your food? I go, food, I can't afford any food right now. And he goes, he reaches in his wallet. He pulls out, he goes, all I've got is a 20 right now, but please take it. You know, because I guess he didn't carry cash on him. But I'll just never forget the fact that he gave me some money, and I was so embarrassed because of, oh my God, celebrities giving me money. It was so embarrassing, but I just thought it was the sweetest thing. And he also was a gentleman and didn't try anything, was very polite. And then I see the news. I still have that newspaper clipping where he's dead. And I was like, God, this is like 2 rappers I've met now that are dead, and 2 very kind souls as well. And it just really, like when I read the headline, it was just like, you know, because I connect a lot with people. I connect with everything, but I connect with them. So a little part of those guys were with me. And then now I felt that had left me, and it just, you know, it left me a little hollow because they really had affected me, because they were really misunderstood souls. Maybe that persona was for the public, but I got to see a very private, you know, side of them that was like, wow, these are really just normal guys.
I always kind of wondered about a lot of those gangster rappers like them. They grew up, they're rapping about what they grew up, you know, around. That doesn't mean that's who they are at heart or what necessarily defined them as human beings. They're probably glad they got out of it, but just like rapping about it was like their way of, it was their catharsis. They just got it out of them, and that's helped their art, because everybody puts their art based on their life.
Yeah, and it's a good, you know, art. Painting is expression, music is expression. Many things are just the need to get out. Writing, you know, what we have inside is like we have to regurgitate it so that we can move on to the next thing we're going to have thoughts of. You know,
yeah,
we got to get it out. Got to get it out.
Yeah, we always got to be moving forward.
Yeah.
So speaking of music, you're into that too, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a singer-songwriter. That started at age 16 because, you know, you're going through it at 16 and
right.
And you need somewhere to like, and I was punk back then. So everything was black lipstick, black nail polish. I was like, I had safety pins in my ears. I was like very aggro and angry at the world. I know nobody can see me like that. I even shaved. I had a mohawk. Everybody's like, I can't see you as a punk rocker. Like, let me get the pictures. But you know, it was a moment. It passes as well. You know, it's a phase where you needed to get out of that, and so I was singing 80s covers in a band, and I also sang like new wave. So it was Blondie, Pat Benatar, Missing Persons. I love them. Motels, Culture Club. And that was a fun time. That was probably one of the best times of my life, if I have to define moments, because it was just innocent and free and easy, and, you know, silly lyrics, and life was good. It was simple. I rode to work in a bicycle, you know, things were much simpler then. And you know,
You're just having fun.
Yeah, carefree, good times. Now it's so hard. Life is hard.
Yeah, it is. The older you get, the harder it becomes.
Oh my gosh, I know. It should be the other way around because we need a break. We've been here a long time. We need life to be easier.
Yeah, yeah. It's like we should have it reversed. Work a lot harder when we're younger, so we don't have to work as much when we're older. And I think that's what past generations did, but somewhere along the way, we started getting it wrong. we, st-
Oh,
we
but because
started,
we work at age 6 on the farm.
right. I think maybe it started with all the 60s, hippie culture. Maybe that's what started. They're like, we don't want to work as kids. We're going to pass this down to our kids. And now we're all lost and like, what the hell do we do now? Now that we're in our 40s,
Oh,
50s, and 60s.
and we're still working. We should be, I mean, I don't even want to get into that. The average, we're supposed to retire at 65, and now people work until they're 70, which leaves you like maybe 5 years to go on a cruise and enjoy your life because then you're too old. This is wrong.
Just take 5 years to sit around the house and let your body settle for that.
I know. It's like nonstop work. It really is just I definitely envy those that have, I have a lot of clients. In fact, I don't know some client came to me and they were moving their entire family to Ecuador. They're like, we're done. And anybody that, I mean, I've done it when I moved to Hawaii on my own for a while and decided to try that. But anybody that can just say, you know what, screw it, I'm done. I need to just have peace wherever that is. If I have to live simply and just eat coconuts on an island, but that peace is everything.
Better than
It's
dealing with some of this stuff.
hustle. It's about the peace and the the zen. you
Yeah,
know, at the end of the day, it really chasing that dollar, it gets tiring.
yeah, it really does. You mentioned being from Alaska, or you lived in Alaska for a while. What was that? I just want to ask real quick, what was that like? I've always wanted to see Alaska. I like
Yeah.
cold weather.
Well, I do too. Surprisingly, it's like, why are you in Florida? Well, I get more active in the winter.
Yeah, I couldn't
um,
live in Florida. It's too hot.
oh my gosh, I spent honestly because like probably 7 months from like May till October, it's hot as hell, and I just stay inside. Like I just go to my car inside, air conditioned, everything. I can't function in the heat. But now it's nice and cold. It's been 60, and so I've been running around. But Alaska was basically, I was there for 10 years. I was up in the most northern part, as far north as you can go, and then there's no more. So, like, the west is the most southern. So, Point Barrow, Alaska is as north as you can go. After that, it's the Arctic Ocean. You'll walk right into it.
You were way up there.
Yeah, it was way up there with a town of 4,000 people. The majority were Eskimos, which is the correct. People always like, hey, nobody calls them that. I said, my friends, most of my classmates are Eskimos. Well, all of my classmates, and it's still okay to say Eskimos or Inuit or Native Alaskan, whatever. But yeah, there was maybe 500 white people at most. They had never seen a brown person. And so I got bullied and picked on at school because like they did not know what to make of me. And that was tough. So it was a lot of learning. I did my best to wear the native clothing, learn the Inuit language, because I figure I need to at least know what everyone's saying about me. So, yeah, so I did my best to fit in. It was rough for a while, but then, once I became a cheerleader in the school and I still wasn't popular, but, I was in band. I was the classic nerd girl with, band. I had no boyfriends all through school. Yeah, it was definitely something different, Northern Lights, 70 below zero, polar bears walking in the winter in the middle of your front lawn.
Well,
It's
that was scary.
every extreme that you can think of. Was that scary? Yeah, because white foxes would also walk in once it became winter, the Arctic Ocean froze, and everything that was at other lands could now walk across and use the ocean as a way to get in from Russia and everywhere. So white foxes carry rabies, and they would bite you or a dog, and then the dog would bite you. And so there was a constant threat of like a polar bear attack, which, you know, these things on hind legs are 10 feet tall
Yeah.
with claw like this.
Yeah. That long.
Yeah, you know, so there was that, but there were no insects, nothing grew there. Complete, you know, no flowers, no trees, no insects, no bugs,
No mosquitoes.
no mosquitoes. That part is good. Anchorage below has
Yeah.
mosquitoes and they're like this big. But and then there's a king crab on the good side. You know, there was some positives, like if you like king crab, salmon, things like that, you can that wasn't up there. You'd have to go further down to Kodiak. But I I always think I would probably want to go back to Alaska as a tourist on a cruise ship, seeing it from that angle, you know, down more south by Kodiak and the Aleutian chain, and um, not the extreme that I had to live in, which gave it a whole different view. You know, Alaska's quite beautiful, and the part that I lived at was not. So I never really fully experienced it. If you do go to Alaska, by all means, you know, take the cruise, do that whole thing down there, see Anchorage, Fairbanks, Soldotna, you know, all of that, the Denali Mountain, all that. There's giant moose. There's, you know, panhandling for gold. There's a lot of beauty in Alaska. The Alaskan pipeline, all the oil, you know, the whales, obviously. So there's a lot of things. The Northern Lights, which I saw almost every night. Well, all through winter when it's pitch black for 6 months, I just saw Northern Lights every night.
What was that like being dark for 6 months straight?
Oh God. That is when depression sets in.
Yeah.
Because I get up and go to school at 8 a.m., pitch black. Lunchtime, go outside, pitch black. After school, 3 p.m., pitch black. And this went on for 6 months. And then the extreme happens. Then comes summer where the sun never sets. So then you've got daylight for 24 hours. Go outside, the sun is there. Midnight, sun's high in the sky. It really does a number on your like
I,
circadian.
def- I definitely wouldn't like constant daylight. No way.
No, I learned to what we did was we hung really heavy blankets in front of the windows, and that way we could sleep, because you can't sleep, it's light all the time.
Yeah.
And that I think psychologically was what caused drinking problems, suicide,
Yeah. They
um,
say
you know,
suicide rates are real high in those areas.
high up there because the drinking. And then you go outside and you maybe pass out and fall asleep in the snow and freeze
Ooh.
to death. I
Yeah.
mean, there are crazy things like that. Or you get a hold of a hunting gun, you know, a shooting gun, and next thing you go on a rampage. Or, you know, I had a lot of classmates that I lost to suicide just by accidental things like cleaning their hunting gun, or I don't know. That part was bad, and we were in a dry village. The village was voted dry, so there was no alcohol unless you snuck it in. It was like back then, $40 to $50 a bottle was a lot. You know, maybe it's not now because that's the price things cost. But yeah, I mean, there was severe depression because you also, it's so cold you can't go outside, so you just sit inside and get cabin fever. You know, none of this psychologically is any good for anybody's spirits.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
you've done a whole lot of interesting things in your life,
A
which I
little
guess
fever.
we probably only touched on a little bit of it, a little piece of it. So I guess that would be why you wrote your book. Yeah.
Oh,
I
I
am.
like the segue.
I know what I'm doing. I don't look like it, but I know what I'm doing.
Not his first rodeo, yes. So here, and it's not just a pamphlet. Let me show you. This is a chock full here, beautiful book. It is 11 years worth of hard work. So the funny thing was, I was writing an autobiography, and I was also writing a paranormal book with all my paranormal things that have happened. And I thought, dear God, it's going to take me forever because there's so much that's happened in my life. How am I ever? Maybe we should just make a movie. So, and then every time I thought I was finished with the book, some other weird paranormal thing would happen that needed to go in the book. So finally, I asked my guides, I said, you guys, how are we ever going to pull this off? And they said, why don't you write an autobiographical paranormal book and combine the two? So I said, that's a great idea. We will just cover the first half of my life, the most interesting parts, Denmark, Switzerland, Alaska, some of California with Hollywood. And then we'll end it going into, or we'll just go into all the paranormal things, and we will end it with my parents passing, because all the things that revolved around that were quite miraculous as well. And then I thought that would be a nice way to end it and honor my parents. So the finished product finally was done in August, when I got COVID again,
Mm.
for an entire month.
Ooh, wow,
And
that's
I
bad.
thought, well, what am I doing? What am I going to do in bed for a month? My guide said, write the book. And I thought, this is why you're keeping me sick. So I sat and I typed 8 hours a day. I treated it like a job, and I organized everything. I typed it, I edited it myself, I designed the cover, I did everything. Um, and I got it done. And as soon as I got it done, probably a couple days later, I was well. And I was like, I see what you did there. And so, isn't that crazy? And that's how the book came about. But that's the universe knew she's never going to finish that book. We can't let it go another year. So we're going to make her sick.
Well, you appeased the spirits that way.
I
So
did. Yeah.
so did you self-publish, or did you go with an agent and go through another publisher? Or
I ended up self-publishing. I figured, at least for this book, I am working on book number 2 and 3. The next book will be all about spirituality and the afterlife. So it's going to be a little bit more probably relatable, maybe. I don't know. But I figure maybe I will use this book as like, hey, this is what I'm capable of. I did this myself. So can you take over and publish and distribute for the next one? But I went with Amazon and Barnes and Noble, because that was like the easiest route, So now this year is mostly about promoting the book touring, which is really hard, setting up your own book tours. I'm trying.
yep, we know.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to join you guys. I'll come over and
Yeah,
we'll do a book event.
there's a lot of, self-publishing is a viable avenue anymore anyway, and small presses and indie presses. And of course, if people can't get on with the the big trade, big five publishers. So it's not really what people think, what some people used to think of it, or what it used to be when people think of it now. It's really, you're doing a lot of the similar work that you would be doing even if someone else,
Right.
even a bigger publisher, publish you. They just have the large distribution channels, and that's
And that's helpful for sure. I mean, I have to do all the promoting myself and everything, but I have more control of the book too.
yeah.
And and I'm, they don't know me from Adam. So if I was Stephen King, of course, that route is that you give it to
Well,
your
that's different.
publisher, and they take care of that. But when you're a wee person like me, then I have to do all the footwork myself. And maybe if the book is a success, then people are more willing, because it also is people trusting you and taking a chance on you as a publisher. If you get published by someone else, and you have to be sure that you're going to sell that book for them and they're going to make money off of you. So the freedom to self-publish, I mean, it is definitely a lot of more work, because I went to get an editor, and they wanted $10,000 to edit my book. And I said, okay, I guess we're going to add another 3-4 weeks to sit and edit the book myself. And suddenly,
Editors are very expensive, way more expensive than cover artists. That's for sure.
well, yeah, I ended up doing my own cover and designing it and shooting it. And I love the freedom. It made me work a little more. It was more challenging, and I think I really challenged myself, because I ended up having to edit the freaking book myself. And so suddenly I became I learned how to edit and copyright. And so it challenged me, because I couldn't afford those rates. It forced me to have to do new things and learn something new again. And so I think it was really good. In fact, several of my friends have come to me now, and they're like, V, I might hire you to help me with my book, because you know how to do it. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know how much blood and sweat and tears I went through. Now you want to hire me to go the easy route when I worked my ass off. You know how many times I cried and cursed and like call my friends crying, because I'm like, I can't do this. This is so hard. But look at what happened. Hard work pays off, and you can do this. And I love the challenge, and I did it. And when that book came in the mail, I was bawling my eyes out. You know, when you
Yeah.
get your first book, you're like, holy cow. It just, you have to take a moment to appreciate the dedication and your hard work. Like it, people don't realize you don't just, oh, I want to write a book. It's hard work to
It
write
takes
a
a
book.
lot of dedication, motivation, and work. That's for certain.
Discipline, you know, you can't just, I mean,
Yeah.
this has to be, this is what you're doing. You have to focus, and this has to be your work every day. Work on it and write it, and then read it over again,
Mm,
rewrite it. I mean, it is not just as simple as, you know, I mean, some people hire a ghostwriter or something, then you have no control. I mean, now they're writing your thoughts. That is ridiculous, you know.
yeah.
So
So
yeah.
the place to get it is on Amazon, right?
Yes, you can go on Amazon. Just type in I found if you just type in IMV and then just my first name Valentina, it normally pops up really quick. And there's Kindle, hardcover or soft cover. If you don't want Amazon or don't have Amazon, you could also do Barnes and Noble. I got it there now. Um, I know the things I do. Because then I thought I could go to Barnes and Noble, I could do a book signing, and because I have a Barnes and Noble down the street, and I walked in there yesterday because I said the phone number you gave me for the people to have a book signing, they're not responding. And the guy goes, oh, well, we just got Onyx Storm in and everyone is really busy with this book. And I'm like, what the heck? I don't even know what you're talking about, Onyx Storm. Apparently it's the latest whatever. And I'm like, well, please don't forget us little people here trying to be Onyx Storm, because I'm never going to get there if you don't answer my phone call so I can come in. But yeah, so I decided to also publish through Barnes and Noble, just so I could maybe get in and try to, you know, do a book signing or something. Because now that's the next step. The book is out, the book is finished. Now I really need to start doing events and things.
Yep. All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on. It's been great.
Oh, we're out of time. Oh,
I feel like I could have kept talking to you for another hour.
I know. It goes so quick because we're having such a good time. Well, thank you so much for having me on, and tell Jenny hi. I thought she was going to be on.
Yeah, I do most of the talking. She prefers I do most of the talking.
Oh, you were great. You were great. This was so good. This was so fun. So, yes, yay. Let me know. And thank you so much for having me on. And I will talk to you soon. Shall I leave the studio?
Yeah, I'll hit the end stream. I'm gonna end it. Thank you for coming on.